Hi, and welcome back to part 2 of filling in the negative space of the jelly prints that I started with you and finished up the watercolors. It is now dried, and look at that beautiful color in there. I love the way those turned out. There's some beautiful color variation in the blues and greens, some dark colors and some light colors in the fern, and then some beautiful colors in that maple leaf. And so really all you need for this process is some sort of permanent black marker. I'm using a micron, and I think it's a 05. And then you're going to need some posca pens or some other paint pen that is going to show up on your print. I don't think regular magic markers will work. So what we're going to do is just start drawing the veins on the leaves, and we're just going to do kind of regular veins, nothing fancy, because we're going to put a design in between them. So I'm not worried about how the leaves really look in real life. I'm just going down and marking so that I can put my designs in between. This is a really fun therapeutic process, and I just love doing it, and I hope you will try it. So what I'm going to do for this set of leaves here is I'm going to do some kind of teardrop shapes in the leaves, and I'm putting a couple of double lines in the stem right now so the stem will show up and won't be plain. I love doing that, and then I like to put little circles on top of that, just really small. You can do whatever your imagination comes up with. You can draw your inspiration from nature. You can get all kinds of inspiration just looking around your house, looking on Pinterest, things like that. The possibilities are just endless. And so I'm just finishing up this stem here, and then I'll show you close up what that looks like. And you don't think a little bit of detail makes a big difference, but it really does. So here's the design that I planned for these leaves, and all it is 2 U's starting at the vein in the middle of the leaf. And it's hard to draw this with you being able to see that, but so I just start with a larger one, and then I make a smaller one on the inside. Very simple designs. This is one of my favorite to do, and when I get out my Posca pen, you'll see why. It just has a really cool effect. You can use Posca pens with the larger tip or the smaller tip. I prefer the smaller tip ones, but I don't always have the right color in the small tip. So I just use what I have, and I try to be really careful if I have to use the larger ones. The Posca pens, they have acrylic paint in them, and they just make such a big difference in your art. It's the color doesn't seep in, it stays on top and stays bright. So I'm just going in between those 2 lines that I drew in the stems, and I'm coloring in with that Posca pen with that pretty blue-green color. I'll link the Posca pens below if you've never heard of them, or if you are looking for those, you can see where to find those. So now I'm going to take that Posca pen, and I only have the larger point, and that white Posca pen. But the white Posca pen really makes things pop. And so what I'm going to do is go around on the inside of the upside down U's that I drew. And obviously it doesn't matter if it gets on those lines anywhere, but I'm just going to go all the way around on the inside of the U. Isn't that cute? Just take my time, making sure I'm not putting my hand back into it. Look at the difference that white pen makes. It just blows me away every time. Also, in my last video, I mentioned that I wasn't sure that these were professional watercolors. And let me just be clear. It doesn't matter what you paint with. I mean, I'm painting on copy paper here. It's not watercolor paper. This is not going to be a watercolor masterpiece. But I did order another set of the vintage pastels, which I had given my set to my sister. And I read the box carefully when it came in, and it does say that those are artist grade professional paints. And I thought it was a really good price for the paint that you get, and you can get all different sets, and I really enjoy it. But I'm happy to know that they are artist grade professional watercolor paints. So just a fun fact, side note, whatever. Probably what I'm going to do with these prints is first I'm going to scan them and make them into digital print. And then I kind of feel like cutting them up and making them into something smaller, but I haven't decided exactly what just yet. So I'm just continuing with the upside down U's in this leaf here. So now I'm moving on to this leaf, and we're going to do some swirly lines all the way down. Very easy. And we're going to use that in place of the veins. And then I'm just going to add some of the blue Posca pen to the inside of the little swirls. Next, we're going to move on to the maple leaf, and I'm just going to draw the leaf veins in here. They're not perfect, but that's okay. And for the maple leaf, I'm going to draw some circles. I add some a little bit larger circles and a little bit smaller circles. It doesn't really matter the size, just as long as they fit in there and that you're happy with them. I'm going to take a couple different colors to fill in this leaf. I'm going to start with the red Posca pen on the larger circles. And then I'm going to go in, and I tried the coral, but I don't like it, so I'm going to use the blue on the smaller ones. It's just amazing what a little bit of detail can do for something like this. I just went back on the stem and made a little design in there. And we're doing some swirls for the veins in these leaves. Instead of drawing a straight line from the inside of the middle vein, I'm coming out and then just making a swirl. These are smaller leaves, and I'm surprised I could get that amount of detail in there, but you really can get a lot in a leaf. Some of the lighter places on there that I painted a different color were flowers. And I realized that some of the flowers I actually colored the same color as the leaves, so I'm going to go back and fix that. I'm going to put dots in the middle of the swirl. And I use this coral color to kind of pop on that green. There's something about dots that I just love. So I'm just putting yellow dots inside of where the flowers are to kind of make it look a little flowery. It's very cute. I just love that pop of color on that green. It turned out really pretty. And now we're going to move on to these longer leaves. And what I'm doing is I'm just drawing a little loop at the end of the vein because I already drew the veins. But then I'm going to go back and put another loop, like it's a little sprig or a twig in there. All these designs are very easy, and I'm sure that you can do them as well. And this is, for me, where it gets really therapeutic, just the repeating pattern. There's something about that that really makes me happy. So I decided I'm going to take this aqua or turquoise color and fill in the little leaves or the little sprigs on the yellow to make that pop. And then we're going to move on to the centerpiece, which is the big fern. And I'm just drawing crescent shapes on either side of the middle vein and then repeating that outward. Any repeating pattern that you do is going to be very interesting and make an interesting effect. It kind of blew my mind how well these turned out the first time that I tried it. And then I was hooked and I had to do a lot of pages. So now all I want to do is this. I just want to draw on these papers. This is kind of a royal blue posca pen. And I'm just going kind of in the middle line in there. Anything that kind of makes the pattern stand out. And you can experiment with your colors. Sometimes I use colors that are beside each other on the color wheel, and sometimes I use complementary colors. I'm just adding a little dot of pink in the very center there to draw out some additional attention to the pattern, and then I'm, of course, putting dots on the leaves. For this fern here, I'm just making the middle vein. And then sometimes when I don't know what to do next, I just draw hearts, and that's what I was doing here. Just drawing hearts upside down, sideways, and right side up, wherever they fit. Then I'm just going in with that same turquoise or aqua color and filling in those little hearts. Now sometimes when you get a detailed design like this, you need to go back over it because you get outside of the lines or the paint covers up the lines, and I think that black outline on the designs really makes a big difference, and so I always go back and I outline those again. At the top I just did little dots because it was getting way too difficult to draw a little heart. Here I'm just doing the re-outlining. Then I'm going back in with some yellow dots to give that some additional detail. Now I need to do something on this stem, so I'm just going to make some little swirls on there. They kind of look like S's. I really like doing some sort of a detail on the center, on the stem, the twig, whatever. It just really makes the design pop. I decided to do yellow polka dots on this one. And then I went through and made a double line in between the dots. It's really not complicated. In fact, the more simple the design, sometimes the prettier it is. And then I'm just going inside the lines there and making that pink. Making some additional design in that one, in the stem. And then I'm going to finish off this yellow plant. I like to choose colors for the plants that really stand out. I think it just makes it so much prettier. This is one of those projects when you don't know what you want to do, but you know you want to do something. This is perfect for that. Or you lost your mojo and you need to get it back, and this will really kind of get you in the groove again. Usually when I'm doing something like this, I'm thinking about what my next project will be, or maybe thinking about an issue that I have on a project that I'm trying to work out, and this helps a lot. I did some dots in the middle of that stem in the coral, and then I outlined it again. And I'm going to finish up this large fern. I'll link down in the description box also, if you haven't seen the video, which is the result of all of these negative prints. It's my faux eco dyeing video, and I will link that in the description box for you. And if you'll notice, Even though I did use copy paper, I mentioned it in the previous video that these are jelly prints and they're done with acrylic paint, and so there's paint on the back of this page here also, and there's paint on the front. The only place that there's no paint is where I use the watercolor. And since there's paint on the back, it helps that paper not to warp. So it lends itself to this project very well. So don't worry about your paper messing up. Unless you just get your paper super wet and then you keep kind of scrubbing your paintbrush on it, there's really nothing that's going to happen to your paper. I hope you find just watching this therapeutic. I know I do. Of course, going back with the dots. That pink pen is so pretty. We're almost done. Got to finish that red flower, or the leaf, red leaf. If you mess up on a design, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's probably not going to show in the long run. When I'm done with this, I'm going to show you all the prints that I've done in slow motion, real time. I like leaving a little bit of this for last because I enjoy those little dots so much. These little tiny ones were a little more difficult, but it wasn't too awfully bad. And there we go. So let's pan out and then I'll show you everything that I have done so far. Let me know in the comments which one of these is your favorite. I'm curious to see. I think that was one of my first ones, and I love the plant in the middle with the yellow leaves and those white dots. There's some hearts on the bottom there. It just turns out so pretty, no matter what pattern you use on what. Oh, I love the background paper on that one. It is so pretty. I love that little yellow pop there. I actually went back and painted that after, because that wasn't on the jelly print. I used watercolor to go around the edges and pop that yellow. I thought it was really pretty. And then this one was on a larger scale. That's actually a metallic gold background. I really hope that you've enjoyed this process, and I hope that you're going to go try some on your own and tag me on Instagram at adreamybohemian.com. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.